Hey guys, it's Generic. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing lesson 16 of code.org Express Course 2021. So let's go ahead and get started. The first question on this lesson says, "Hi, I'm a farmer. I need your help to flatten the field on my farm so it's ready for planting. Move to the pile of dirt and use the remove block to remove it." So as the first question is with most of these lessons, it's pretty simplistic. You do have a repeat here, which you don't in some of the other first questions, but otherwise you're just moving 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to use a move forward 4. Now, why is 5 the automatic thing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, they are incorrect. It's 4. So we're going to repeat 4 of move forward, and then we're going to have her remove 1 shovelful of dirt. So let's go ahead and see that. There we go. All right, question 2. So the goal of lesson 16 is to teach you while loops, which it even says while loops in Farmer, although we don't have any while loops yet. So once they get introduced, I will explain them a little more. Plus you have this video here on question 4 that's going to help you. Instead of having a pile of dirt in front of us on question 2, we have a hole, and the little number 6 down to the right tells us that it's going to take 6 scoopfuls of dirt in order to fill that hole. So we need to move forward and then tell it 6 times that we want to fill 1. We don't want to remove anything, make a bigger hole. So we're going to move forward 1, and then we are going to 6 times fill 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there she goes. And question 3 is another one before they even introduced that while loop. Very similar, except when you move forward, you are moving south or down. And you are instead going to remove 10 because it has 10 down there to the right. So we're just going to change that 5 to a 10. He'll have to remove 10 scoops of dirt or remove 1 10 times. All right, easy peasy. So on number 4, there is a video explaining a little bit about the while block. Read it. I'll be here. Pause me. When you're done with it, come back and I will reiterate it using different words. Did you watch it? You should go watch it. Don't just come to me for the answers. You're supposed to be learning. How are you ever going to code your own awesome things? Okay, sorry. I'll stop momming or teachering you. You came here for help, not for a lecture. But you should watch number 4 because it explains it really well and you may understand his explanation a little better than mine. So 5, as usual, I'm not going to do the ones that are multiple choice or predictions because your circle will go green no matter which one you do. And that's a good way of testing if you're understanding the concepts. If you guys would really like me to do those ones so that I can explain why that's the correct answer, put that in the comments down below. I never actually thought of it that way, but maybe you guys would like an explanation. So if that's something that you feel is missing from these lessons, let me know, and I'll go back in and fix that on the lessons that I've already posted and start doing it for the future ones. All right, but now we're on question 6, and it looks really similar to some of our other questions, 1, 2, and 3, except it doesn't tell us how many scoops we need to remove from this pile right here. It just has a little question mark. And that's because we have this new little block down here that says while there's a pile, while there's a path ahead, while there's a hole. There are 2 different blocks in code.org that are very similar. The when block and the while block, and they're both pink. When you're actually in Sprite Lab and able to be creative and do whatever you want, this is actually a little drop down arrow, a little arrow that will let you choose when or while. When does something one time. while continues to do it until it's done. So let me give you an example. We have our girl here. She's going to move forward. And if this was a when block, when there is a pile, which we're just pretending it is, do remove one. It would only remove one. It would not keep going again and again and again. She would move forward. She would look down and say, hey, is there a pile? Yes, there is. Okay, I'm going to remove one. And then she would continue her code, whatever was down here. A while block instead continues to look until it's met the requirements for that block. So right now it says while there is a pile. The pile is the requirement. So she's going to move forward. She's going to look down, say, is there a pile? Yep, take a scoop. Is there a pile? Yep, take a scoop. Is there still a pile? Yep, take a scoop. Let's say there were only 3, so now all the scoops are gone. So while there was a pile, she removed one until now there is no pile anymore. That condition's been met, that requirement. So now it's going to continue whatever code is down here. Now, in this particular question, we don't have any code down here, but it would keep going. So for this one, she's going to move forward. And since it's while and not when, she's going to keep looking no matter how many are there. And then when they're all gone, she would continue with her code, and there isn't any, so she'll be done. So there were 10. And she scooped 10. If there had been 4, she would have scooped 4. Doesn't matter. So let's look at number 7. It's very similar, except there's more than one scoop. Some of the scoops, or piles rather, we know need 5 removals. You need to remove 5 scoops of dirt from this one and this one. But we don't know for these ones. Rather than go in and say, move forward while there's a pile, remove 1, move forward, remove 5, move forward while there's a pile. We don't need to do that. We can just tell it, move forward while there's a pile, remove 1. It'll remove everything from here. It'll remove everything from here. It doesn't matter that we know it's only 5. It'll remove everything from here. And then again, it'll remove all 5. It could say 4, it could say 10, doesn't matter. It's going to do each pile while there's still stuff there. It's going to keep doing it. So we can just tell it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So let's get this repeat 5. We want it to move ahead. And while there is a pile, remove it. Whether that's a 1, a 10, or a 5, doesn't matter. It's still going to remove the whole thing. So it doesn't matter if we don't know the amount or we do. Let's try it out. All right, that worked. So let's continue with number 8. Number 8 is very similar, but instead of going in a straight line, you are going in a sort of zigzag or stair pattern. I usually think of it as stairs, and each one of these as a step. So we can have her go forward, fill, we'll get to that part in a second, turn right, forward, fill, turn left. And then she can do it again. Forward, fill, turn right, forward, fill, turn left. Forward, fill, turn right, forward, fill, turn left. I goofed in moving my arrows. I was so busy making sure I said the right thing. But let's go ahead and do that. Forward, fill, but we have 3 here, 1, 2, 5, 4, we don't even know. So we're going to scroll down and get that while there is a hole block. So it does it no matter how many are there. Forward, while there's a hole, fill. Turn right, because it's her right. She's headed this way, that's her right. So turn right, move forward, and then do it again. While there is a hole, fill. So first, let's make sure that it does that first step correctly. This step right here, this square, and this square. So she moves forward. While there's a hole, it's filled. Turn right, move forward. While there is a hole, fill. Now, of course, it makes that noise because we're not totally done, but we want her now to turn left. So she's turned this way, like she was in the beginning, and do it all a second and a third time. So we can just take all our code right here. Don't forget that I added that turn left right there. We're going to take all that code and just do a repeat 3. Now, if you've watched my previous lessons, you know that there are oftentimes more than one way to do one of these questions. This is how you do it in 10 blocks, which is what they're asking for. I think it's the most efficient way. I believe they also think it's the most efficient way, but there are a couple of other ways that you could solve this one in other amounts of blocks. If it is less than 10 and it gets you to where you need to go, awesome. Most of them are going to be more than 10 though. And so that's going to give you a light green circle up top, which we've talked about in previous lessons. And that means that you've gotten the right result, but not the right, you didn't get it in the right amount of blocks. It's kind of like, oh, you got the right answer on a math problem, but you didn't show your work, or you showed your work, but it's not really leading up to the answer, so they're not sure how you got there. It's a close but no cigar, if you know that expression. Sorry, I realize it makes kind of an obnoxious noise. Okay, so we did 1, 2, 3. Let's move on to number 9. We're still using those while blocks. They haven't given us the option of a when block, but I explained that back on question, whatever question this one is, 6, if you need that. You'll need to use the while path ahead block in order to solve this puzzle. So instead of doing while there is a hole, fill, or while there is a pile, remove, we are now going to do while there is a path ahead. So there's a path ahead of her, and we're going to say while there's a path ahead, move forward. There's no more path right here, so she should stop moving forward right there. And she will. And then once she's there, we need her to fill 1. And all of these are at the end of a path, and they're all fill 1s. So while there's a path ahead, move forward, and then fill 1. Let's make sure it does this one side. Sorry, I can't make it go any faster. Some lessons have a little turtle rabbit slider, a tortoise in the hare, so to speak. But this one does not, so we're stuck just waiting for it to go. All right, so that worked. Now we just need her to turn to her left and do it again. I'm going to show you a little trick here. Not really a trick, but I don't know. You'll see in a sec. So here's 1 path, 2, 3, 4. You can put it all in a repeat 4, but there's also another way of doing it that's the exact same amount of blocks. And that's the trick, sort of, that I'm going to show you. Let's reset it and make sure it gets us to where we're going to go or want to go. Gosh, she's really slow today, isn't she? Gosh, I wonder if that's my internet. It's actually loading slowly. That's going to stink. I want to be able to record this for you guys. Okay, that worked. You could also do it this way, though. Remember we did this for the one side of the path. And then we just turned her and put her in a repeat 4. Well, instead of telling her 4 times, let's say this was just a big spiral, or we didn't know how many times we had to do it, or we just wanted to do it in another way. You could also put your code in another while path ahead, because watch this. You could nest them, and this confuses a lot of people, so if this confuses you, just do the way I just showed you. But I thought I would explain it for some of you who are a little bit more into coding or analytical thinking. So while path ahead, she's going to move forward, she's going to fill 1, she's going to turn left, but then there's a path ahead again. So if we tell her while there's a path ahead, move forward, fill 1, and turn left, she will keep going, because once she turns, look, she'll say, is there a path ahead? Oh yeah, there is again now. While there's a path ahead, I'm going to move forward. Those little lines coming out are her trying to do that while. Is there a path ahead? Yep. Is there a path ahead? Yep. Is there a path ahead? Yep. Oh, no more path ahead. I'm going to fill. I'm going to turn. Now there's a path ahead again. So now I keep doing it. So instead of telling her 4, you tell her just to do it until there's no more path, which is going to be here at the end where you want to be anyway. There you go. So 2 different ways to do it, same amount of blocks, 6 either way. Let's do number 10. 10, the challenge question, gets a lot of people stuck, but I think you guys will be ready for it because of how I explained the last one. Let's see. So it's exactly the same in that while there's a path ahead, you want her to move forward because these holes are all at the end of the paths. So while there's a path ahead, we want her to move forward. But these holes don't all have the same amount. So instead of just telling her to fill one or remove one, we're going to do a move forward. And while there is a hole, fill. So she'll go on the path till she can't go anymore. There's no more path ahead. So now she'll fill the hole till the hole's full. Turn to her right. And then she can continue doing it again, same as last question, by either doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, putting it in a repeat 6, or putting it in another while path ahead, and then she'll do it till the end. But let's try it with that repeat 6. Make sure I didn't goof anything. So is there a path ahead? Yep. There was only 1. She should fill it. Turn right. Is there a path ahead again? Yep. 1. She'll fill it. And then she'll just keep doing that. End of the path. She'll fill it no matter how many. It's 4 on this one. She'll turn and there'll be a path ahead again. So she'll go to the end again. Yep. She's definitely slower than usual. Sorry about that, guys. Although you have a fast forward button. And you don't need to hear me talk once I've explained it. You can always fast forward what she's doing. All right. Really quickly, I'm going to show you that in fact, you could take off the repeat 6 and put a while path ahead, just like we did for question 9, because after she's turned, there is a path ahead again, and it would work exactly the same way. I'm not going to run the whole entire thing because, as we know, it's being a little slow today. But she would, in fact, go all the way over here. Okay? So let's do 11, 12, and 13. And then we'll be finished with lesson 16. Flatten all of these piles using as few blocks as possible. We always want to use as few blocks as possible, and we know that. So we want her to, while there's a path ahead, move forward because the piles are all at the end again. We could use a while there is a pile remove, but they all only have 1. So I'm just going to use a remove 1. We don't want to use an extra block if we don't have to. And then we're going to tell her to turn left because this is her left. And do it again. And just like the previous 2 questions, we could do while path ahead or a repeat. In this case, it's a repeat 3. Let's run that. Make sure we've done it correctly. Is there a path? Yep. Hole. Or sorry, scoop needs to be taken out. Remove. Is there a path? Yep. She's going to keep going. Remove, and she'll turn once at the end, but that's fine. She's still where you want her to go. Very similar, except instead of going around in a spiral pattern, you're now going a little bit more in a zigzag pattern. So while path ahead, we're going to move her forward to the very end. When we get there, sometimes it's 1 scoop, sometimes it's we don't know, and sometimes it's 3. So we're going to go back to using that while there is a pile, remove. So that no matter whether there's 1, 3, or 7,042, it will remove them. Doesn't matter. While path ahead, move forward. While there's a pile, remove 1. I'm going to run that just so you can see it really quickly because this one has multiple steps. So now she needs to turn to her left. She needs to move forward to the end of the path again. She doesn't need to fill or remove anything there. And then she needs to turn to her right. So that should get her through one step, so to speak. See if this is like a staircase, that's like one step. So that should get her to here and facing this way again. And then we can tell her to do it a second time and a third time, but let's double check. She should end right here after turning right. Ready for the next step. Yep. So now we're just going to put it in a repeat 3 or a wall path ahead. It's up to you. Either way, I'll take her all the way to here, which is where the path ends. It's also where the third step ends. While we're watching this, don't forget that a lot of the questions have little light bulbs over here, which have hints or tips, and definitely read the instructions at the top, especially on the lessons where there are angles or pixels. It will tell you how many or what degree the angle is a lot of the time, or how many pixels you need to draw something. So if you've struggled with those lessons, make sure you read the top. And here's number 13. It's another one of those multiple choice prediction questions. So go ahead and do that one. As I've always said, it'll go green no matter which one you pick, but actually give it your best shot and give yourself a little test to see if you feel like you're comprehending these. If you're not, and you need help on any more of these in lesson 16 or a different lesson, please leave a comment down below or check out my other videos on those lessons. I will leave a link to all of those up in the top corner. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.